All right, KISS Army, welcome to the KissFAQ Podcast. Thank you for giving us your time today and letting us into your head. I hope we don't do any damage. This is a KISS-related podcast by the board for the board. We hope that you enjoy. 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to episode 179 of the KissFAQ Podcast, and there's only two of us, and we were all, well, both of us were in Indy at the weekend, so you're allowed one guess as to what this show is going to be about. It is the KissFAQ Indy Expo 2018 Extravaganza Recap Show, and I'm joined by Andy. And
hi, hey, don't.
Before we get into anything, I just want to let everyone know that you and Kim were a fantastic amount of help to me this past weekend. I was able to go to the bathroom, which meant I was able to have a few beers at the table. Now, you guys are absolutely indispensable. Very fun to hang out with you guys. It was just a wonderful weekend. So once again, thank you so much to both of you for all you did to help me out. I could not have done that table on my own. Wouldn't have been any fun whatsoever.
No problem. I had nothing to do all weekend anyway, so what the hell?
Yeah, so let's go straight out of the bat on a ranking of 1 to 10 from the expos you've been to. Where does this one rank up for you? And I'm going to go right away. I'm going to put this one as a solid 8. It's absolutely insane the amount of guests that Steve and Keith and the crew were able to put together for it. I'm going to say that no one without the official KISS logo on it can do a 10. But it was absolutely stunning. The first time I'd been back to Indy since, I think, 2000 was the last one that I had attended. I am more than satisfied with what I got for my money's worth. I certainly got my money's worth, and I did the what was it, the platinum both days plus a dealer table. So very, very, very happy, and we're going to go into the details of everything about that from both of us. What about you? Where does it rank on some of the experiences that you've had?
I know it's a lot of work because, I've done parties and do the gatherings and living in Simmons and all that. So I know it's a lot of work. Man, I don't think people realize you gotta give it to them for bringing so many guests. I mean, it was just insane with the guests, which was, really, really cool. You know what I mean? And the way they spread it out, which was good. And I guess we'll get into that, like you said, after. As in merchandise-wise, it was a little bit, I know they're not going to be like the old days, without a doubt. It's never going to return to that. But there were more, let's say, dealers or people that were trying to sell us stuff in Atlanta and the New Jersey one, the one in New Jersey before that, without a doubt. So, the ranking, it's like you said, like a 9, because they had so many guests.
It's way up there.
Yeah, it is. It was definitely way up there, especially, it was kind of like the KISS thing, but then there's like the family tree. The tree kept extending out. You know what I'm saying? So, and they had some guests that I've never met before. I've been to a lot of expos through the years, but this was my first time in Indy, and a good time to go, the big one. Basically, bang, the big bang. And like I said, I had my geek out moment right away on Saturday morning when we went to put your stuff up on the table at like 6 a.m. I don't know if people realize that where Julian was stationed in that room, they had no doors to lock everything. So basically, we had to put everything up and then take everything down. And about once you put everything up, you were basically stuck there all morning, all day until you basically packed, unless you had somebody helping you out or basically watching your tables. And there were a lot of people around us that that would watch out too. You know what I mean?
Well, we were surrounded by the podcast guys, so I don't know. They all have beady eyes.
They were looking at all your books going, I want some of those.
Well, most of the podcast guys, I mean, the Ages of Rock are right next to us, Dennis, Bill, and Alan, of course. Didn't come in until quite a bit later than everyone else. I mean, some of the big guys were setting up, well before 7 a.m. when I got down there. And, they
were at 6 a.m.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't even remember what time it officially opened for the pre-admissions and stuff, but everyone was busy, and even in that side room, which I thought that was really cool. Yeah, no big deal that we had to pretty much take all stock out. Left all the backdrops and tables as they were, and everything was perfectly fine overnight. So the hotel was secure enough, not secure enough to leave records and whatnot around, but other than that, it was no bother whatsoever. So, a lot of work was done by the groups. And then, of course, the podcast guys did come in. Growing Up Rock were there, Podcast Rock City. I always forget the other one on the end there.
Classic rock drops.
There you go. Thank you so much for not hanging me out to dry on that one, and apologies to them for not having it roll off my tongue. So I was kind of, because we're a hybrid, we're a website, we're a merch table, we're vinyl, kind of weird to be lumped in with just pure podcast, but it worked out very well because all of the podcast table had a hell of a lot of foot traffic from the stars, so the Gene Simmons band guys who, they are high up on my list of cool dudes in the KISS Army, both for what they do with the rock and roll residency and as the Gene Simmons band. We're by 4x Fate. We're by
4x Fate came around. All those guys did all the podcasts and stuff.
So I didn't have to go roaming around for a lot of things. Across from us were UD Replicas, and this is the second time I've seen their gear, and it is no less impressive the second time around to see those freaking costumes, to see them setting up as well. That is one hell of a professional outfit, and they're just fun to watch. They're fun to see interact with other people. To the side of them were ericcarr.com. And
yep.
The only shopping I did this weekend, I don't even have it, is I promised Loretta once that I was going to get an Eric Carr bobblehead. Well, I did finally get him, and I chose not to go with the Asylum one, believe it or not. I went with the Fox. The 1981. So he's up on my shelf next to Eric Singer LA Kiss bobblehead. So very happy to have added that.
Did you break its legs?
No, I didn't. I managed not to drop this one. But sorry, Eric. Eric Singer, that is. I did drop your LA Kiss bobblehead and broke your legs. But what do you expect from a guy who hangs out in the Ecuadorian, consulate all the time?
And right up my alley to the left of us was like a perfect thing. The guy with the new KISS casket. Now I was like, oh my God, there's my present.
Yeah, and rock and roll all night and potty every day. And, they had the toilet seat covers as well, which, it's cool to see that sort of stuff up close. Obviously, I have no interest whatsoever in getting killed by my wife for purchasing anything like that. So that's as close as I will ever get to it, is to look at it and go, ooh, that's nice. The rock and roll over one looked good. Jeans, I can't imagine having any of their faces on the toilet seat, but there you go. Whatever floats your boat.
It's just the cover. It's not like you're actually sitting on it. It's the cover you lift up.
It doesn't matter. I would still be a dead man, even if I just bought one to hang on the wall. But there you go. So who else was in our room? Next to UD Replicas was Big John Hart.
I think we froze, Julian.
That's okay. You're not frozen on my side, so we can just keep going.
All right.
As long as I can see you. So next to UD Replicas was Big John Hart and Lydia Chris. So yep. that was neat to have some of the stars. I mean, obviously people closely connected with KISS in the early days in the same room. Beside them, now it's getting a little bit fuzzy. So
Roman and their friend doing the rock and roll. Yeah, we're really cutting out now, Julian.
Really? You're absolutely smooth on my side.
Yeah, you're talking about I'm getting it like 20 seconds later.
That's your connection.
Again. Anyways, we'll just keep going if something happens. But it was Roman for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame to get Bill Coyne in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And then there was some couple other people just selling stuff, regular stuff. Just like a you and me, I guess. And then way back in the corner in the back, that was Phil Elliott, who was selling stuff. I remember Phil. Phil used to do the original expos. Remember back in the day?
Yep.
And
that was way before my time. They had Paul Combs, Joshua from Thunderbird Art.
Yep.
Robert Fleischman was next to Roman and Bill O'Coin.
Joe
Odell, and here's a great story. I went down to see Joe as it was my first time meeting him. Joe, I'm glad we finally got an opportunity to meet in person. But he had the dolls, the tall, I think the 18-inch action figures, and he had some out of the packaging. I was like, holy shit, those actually look really, really good in person. I was stunned, absolutely amazed, because everyone knows I make fun of the dolls because I call them dolls rather than action figures, and it's just something I'm not into. But they do look impressive, and I told him, I said if I was into that, seeing those in person outside of the packaging, I would be a buyer on those because they really look good quality. They look way better once the hair is all out of from behind the plastic and whatnot. So it was really cool to see a lot of those. So I hope he had a good day. Of course, Phil Elliott, Tom Shannon, Kiss My Wax was in the house. Yep. And to see the new Rockologist Ace Frehley poster, wow, looks fantastic. To see the covers from the limited edition LP pressing they're doing for Origins Volume 1, looks absolutely stunning in person. Very impressed by the quality of the work that they've done, and I'm hoping that becomes a big success for them and that they're able to do some other albums, say Live to Win or Asshole or One Live Kiss on double purple vinyl, So who knows? I hope it leads to bigger and grander things for them, because the work that they're putting in, and obviously they were selling the Kiss My Wax book there as well, and at the table you could meet Jason Herndon. I met both of those guys in Atlanta, but it was very nice to see both of them again. Into the next room.
Oh, geez, that was the geek out moment for me at 6 o'clock in the morning. I go in the door and there's Phil Colladio, basically KissWarehouse.com was there, and they had like that whole side. And Kim saw something she wanted because she went in early, the woman's shirt. She said, "Oh, I want the shirt." So she came back and got me. I go back in there. I talk to them for a couple of seconds. That's the shirt she wants. I turn around, and right there, Bill Stocky. Bingo, instant geekified. I just went, I've never met Bill before, and I couldn't believe it. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And Kim's like, "Who is it?" And I'm like, "This Bill Stocky." She goes, "Who?" And I'm Bill Stocky. So I go running over to him. I'm like, "Hi, Bill. My name's Andy." He goes, "Oh, you're the Andy." He goes, "You say nice things about me and this and that." And I'm like, "Can I have a picture with you? It's an honor to have a picture with you because, let's face it, man, he was part of that group. People could say, "Oh, lucky" or whatever. He was lucky or this and that. I don't care. He was part of that group. It made it special. And that made it special for me. And I had the shivers and I had the teary eyes in my eyes when I stood next to him having my photo done. And that's all I can say. I was happy camper. So, I know people freak out like, "Oh, it's not like an Ace Frehley or, Peter Criss or something like that." But I mean, to me, that was one of my geek out moments. Yeah. Really geek out moments of the expo for me.
He's not Peter Criss. He's not Ace Frehley, but he's still a big part of the history. He's got a chapter in history to himself, which makes him, an important part of the story. Regardless of him not being in the band, not being part of the entourage, he's still one of those people connected with the band who we all know about. And to meet him in person, again, I think I met him at the previous ones, at least one of them. But now, 20 years later, we both had like a little bit of a mutual appreciation society going on, because obviously I know his history, and now I have a little bit more history as well for some of the projects that I've managed to complete as well. So it was very cool seeing him, very humble. Very nice guy. Did he get a Q&A session? I don't remember if that was the case, but
no.
That would have been fun. But, regardless of how many times you talk to him and hear the story, it's still nice for people who've flown in all over the world, or even, if I was doing that Q&A to ask him the questions myself, would have been awesome. But very nice guy, very pleased to meet him. That whole room, the big golden ballroom, was nuts in terms of the amount of talent that was set up in there. I'm just going to go around the map that we had.
I was going to say it's fluctuated day by day, so
it did, because people like Anton Fig were not there on the Saturday, were they?
No, he was there Sunday. So he showed up on Sunday.
Yeah, so I think I don't even remember if Todd was there Saturday or whether they just did Sunday. But there were tables out. I think Jim Kerr was in there with guitars. Lita Ford was back there with guitars. She had a great backdrop with her and her two dogs, who were absolutely adorable. There was a clothing table. Things got moved around because James Jackson, and Carrie Stevens were by a different door on the Sunday when I went in, going after autographs and whatnot. Kiss Online.
I think they were moving them because Lita Ford was really packed, and I think it got crambled, so some people couldn't see, like Carrie and Michael James Jackson. They were just getting like so they moved them on the other side, or they moved themselves. So there was some open tables here and there because, let's face it, even though they said, okay, this guest is going to be here, doesn't mean they showed up at 9 a.m. in the morning,
Right.
They were there, some there at 9, somebody there at 10, some came around noon. It just fluctuated. So it was kind of it wasn't like, oh, here they all are, go get them. It kind of fluctuated. And that was both days too, Saturday and Sunday. You just waited and kind of poked around and waited until somebody showed up, and stand in line.
What I will say is that even if people got moved around from where they are on my little map here, that doesn't matter. It was incredibly well run, very well organized and laid out. In terms of the space that I had for my table was perfect for what I paid for as a dealer. Very happy with that. Turned out well lit, comfortable. Plenty of bathrooms, which is always nice, especially if you have a couple of beers under the table while you're hanging out. You got to loosen up a little bit.
Yep.
But back to that room, there was one very cool corner. Craig Gass, Mark Slaughter, Bobby Rock, and Chuck Garrick back in that corner. I don't remember seeing Chuck back there when I was in, but Bobby Rock was so frickin' friendly. As nice as he's been, just an incredibly talented guy. So friendly, so extroverted, tells a great story. His Q&A is one of my favorites from the weekend, and I wasn't able to go and watch these Q&As at the time, so I've been catching up on YouTube, and you know who I'm going to give a shout out for fantastic film work and capturing all the Q&As, and that is Mike Brunn. Great job, my man, for getting all of that footage again. For those who couldn't be there, for those of us who were there who couldn't go and enjoy them, it's really nice to be able to go back and look at them. So Bobby Rocks, check it out. He's got some great stories. He's a good storyteller. He launched his autobiography at this event, and I forgot to buy a copy. I feel like a complete schmuck. I go to him, get a guitar signed, forget to buy a copy of his book. So next to him, Mark Slaughter. And again, getting something signed. I wasn't allowed to escape without getting a picture of Mark, so I look forward to seeing that. And Mark is just so damn nice as well.
He just popped in on Sunday too. It wasn't like a set schedule with him.
It wasn't. I don't remember. So much of these 2 days is a blur because what was it? I was up at 5 each day. I had to get out to find some food, number one, and then get set up and all that. So, I was driving off to McDonald's 3 miles away on the Saturday. They weren't open on the Sunday, so I ended up eating something out of the little cafe that they had in the hotel, just to get something to get going for the day with a coffee. So
and we'll explain that to people, man. I'll tell you, that's one thing I can't stand.
What is it?
It was that hotel. You got to be kidding me. That was one of the major downers of the expo. They have this huge expo going on. It's been planned for X amount of months. They know there's a ton of people coming. It's sold out, and the hotel is not ready at all. There's not enough food on Saturday night. By the time if you wanted to get food, it wasn't even packed in there on Saturday night. And they said anything coming out of the kitchen, anything. That's a hamburger. At least a 40-minute wait on Saturday night. And there wasn't even hardly anybody in there. I mean, it was awful. And basically, where the expo was, you're basically, airport, 10 minutes away, absolutely nothing around the hotel, right? There's absolutely nothing around unless you had a car. So if you knew somebody had a car, you could go 10 or 15 minutes to find a Walmart, or if you went 15 or 20 minutes, I think, to go down Indianapolis. But other than that, there's absolutely nothing around. So basically everybody's stuck there all day. I mean, they did serve, pizza, hot dogs, and hamburgers if you want to buy them. It wasn't the cheapest stuff, but it wasn't the worst stuff either. But, I mean, they just were, it was almost like we just came in. All of a sudden, it's bombarded with people, and they just can't handle it. But they knew this was coming. I can't understand that. It's so
well. They'd also just finished a pit bull or a boxer, a dog show, which that Friday night it was hilarious. I mean, I didn't get any sleep because of freaking dogs barking, and that cafe
Thursday and Friday.
That cafe downstairs was just a price gouge. I mean, $3.36 for a soda. I mean, you got to be kidding me. So. I was fortunate. I got in, and I was met by Corey, who had received most of my shipping for me in Indy, and he took me out to a wonderful brewery. So, Corey, shout out to you as well for number one. You took me to a brewery that had beer to go, some really nice beer. The Kiss IPA was too damn strong, but the Round Town Lager was actually very nice, and he was another gigantic help to me because I wouldn't have been able to bring half this. Well, I would have only brought half the stuff I had if I hadn't been able to ship directly to Indy and save money and therefore keep the costs way down on the books. So that was a massive help to me. The hotel itself, I thought was adequate. My room, the air conditioning didn't work and it didn't get fixed, and it just sucked because I'd hoped to do some private interviews there, and it was just the conditions were just absolutely impossible. But it was a nice big room, couldn't complain at the size. But
no, I'm not complaining about that, but the food thing, not prepared for people.
On the Saturday I had some of that pizza. I thought it was crap. The burger on the Sunday was way better, so $6 for that, perfectly fine. I'm not going to complain about that in the slightest. And even with the 40-minute wait for the dinner, they did a buffet, which mashed potatoes, beef of some description, and green beans with au jus. I'm like, okay, I'm down with that. Yeah, I'm down with that. And the second night was pulled pork and chicken. So. With the carrots, so worst case scenario, the food was adequate. Would I have rather had something different? Yeah, but not for a 40-minute wait. The only time they really pissed me off is when they got my drink order wrong and they gave me a frickin' shandy. I do not drink lemonade and lager. That is a girl's drink. What the hell? But you know what? I actually did enjoy it. It was very refreshing, so I'm almost embarrassed to admit that. But it was kind of weird. It is what it is.
And it's kind of weird too, with such a big convention, and they know people are going to drink and eat and all that stuff. What happens? They close down the bar area at like 11:45, 12 o'clock.
Yeah, there may be laws. Oh. Again, I'm not too concerned. I had actually disappeared. Both of those nights by 10, I was shot. One night I had dinner with Ken. Picks and Sticks, Ken, good to meet you as well in person. And then I was kind of done. I knew I had to be up at 5. I knew I didn't want to go through the weekend in some alcohol-drenched haze that would just leave me suffering. So I was almost happy that I didn't hang out all night, which would have been too easy. But then again, with not sleeping because of the amount of heat that there was in the room, I might as well have stayed down. But then again, I would have been drinking, so it worked out.
I just like to. I had drinks too, but it's like fun to hang out with people that you either never met before and you meet them for the first time, or the people that you have met. Because there was a lot of cruises, Kiss cruises there, a lot of Kiss cruises there, catching up, and people you catch up. People different from different, areas and stuff. The time zone changes, so people are like staying up later. I love it, man. But yeah, it does wear out on you by the end of the weekend. Turn into a zombie, kind of like the cruise. You'll learn.
And working down on a table when you are doing a table and interacting with a lot of people, and answering questions and talking lots of different topics and all of that, if you don't do it all the time and it becomes a natural skill, it is effort. So I wanted to be
watching you is like it was kind of interesting. Kim and I, like say, we're trying to help you out as much as possible, or whatever. And Kim and I just stand there and watch you when people come up to you and they start talking about you and your book and everything else, and you're just sitting there like, yeah, okay, yeah. It's like, and I'm trying to like. If people are like, yeah, what is this book? I'm like, this is the guy who wrote. This is the guy who wrote it. This is the author. And coming to people like, he is. This is the guy. And I'm like, yes, this is the guy. And then they want, oh yeah, I'm going to buy a book. Yeah, don't you want him to sign it?
Oh man, here's the thing. I am embarrassed to do an autograph. I hate doing it. I'm happy to do so when asked. But being volunteered by you continuously, I was like, every time you did that, I was like turning around and go, shut up. Stop doing that. That's really, really embarrassing. But
I got you one time. You were like, "This is the look." You're like, and you went. I mean, you really gave us that look like, and Kim's like, I don't think he wants you to say that anymore. And I'm like, well, tough. He's here. He's going to do it.
Yeah.
And I go, it's funny too, because somebody even asked after I said that, are you charging? And I started laughing. I remember that. I'm like, yeah, $10 or $50 for you. You know, I mean, goofing around, you know?
Well, yeah, here's an even better one on the autographing stuff. Later on, Ken was hanging out at the table, and that's Mr. Picks and Sticks, of course, who I'm referring to. And someone asked me, will you sign that for me? And are you charging? And he's like, no, it's a discount now that he's drawn on it. So, you know, it's fun. You know, that's the best part of the weekend, as you say, is there were people coming up. It was like, Tim Freeze, I recognize you. Or Eric, I recognize you from Facebook, or, you know, other people whose names I knew. There were other people who I've met before whose names I couldn't recollect. I mean, it's hit and miss, and it's really funny.
It's one of those, you run into the same problem I do, you know? Oops, I think it stopped or something. But you run into the same problem I do. People come up to you and they say hi to you, and they say your name, and you go look at them, and you go, "Oh, what's your name? I am terrible." You know, from the parties and everything else. Come up to you and you go, "Well, hi, Indy," and I'm going, "Hey, how you going?" You know what I mean? I'm terrible with names at times, so I try not to. Anybody says I do not do it on purpose. It's not trying to offend anybody. But sometimes I'm just with names. I can remember stuff from 15 years ago at work or something, but when it comes down to names, I am terrible at names, but I'm great at faces. I can remember you from what you did something somewhere, but I'm just at times I am really terrible at names. And ask Julian. I had to ask Julian even after I did some stuff. I'm like, Julian, what was that guy's name I just talked to for like an hour?
Yeah, you know, and it's tough. And, you know, when, you know, anyone does come up to the table and, you know, you do a podcast or you publish books or you do anything, you know, please never be offended if I don't recall your name. It isn't that I don't care. I've really enjoyed meeting you and having a conversation in many cases with you. But when you've met 150 or 200 people in one day, it does become a little bit of a blur. What I will say is that every single interaction I had over the weekend, whether it was me behind the table or just out in the crowd, just hanging in lines with people, except when I cut in front of line, of course, twice. Sorry, needs must. But I
flexed my muscle once.
Did you?
Yeah, for you.
Oh, yeah, that was at the end of the Ace thing, wasn't it? So yeah, that was.
Mister, I don't want to go to my thing. I said I'll be right back. I'll find out what number they're at.
Yeah, which was very lucky because I was able to go and get my photo with Ace and Eric, which was the only photo I really wanted that day, and it was
get out of the way. This guy's gonna get in there.
right at the end, and then for the Ace signing, you know, I got in right as the doors were about to shut, which, you know, worked out perfectly for that. So, you know, again, you know, it was such a hectic weekend, so many people. Actually, I don't know whether it was so many people. I don't know what the attendance was. It was a good crowd, probably a little lighter because of the Mother's Day weekend and whatnot, but still a lot of people. And a lot of people stopped by. And if they weren't buying, they were looking. And if they weren't looking, they were just saying, hi, I'm such and such, or, you know, you know, no one came up. You know, Mark Cicchini from Three Sides was there, just came over. Hey, Julian, how you doing? Good warm handshake, you know, quick word, which is really nice, you know, even for people who were just there on other, you know, with other missions of their own, you know, taking the time to come over and say hi was really nice and very much appreciated.
Yeah, a lot of people did that. I mean, a lot of people come up to me where I was sitting there and to Kim and I and basically say, hey, Andy, man, I can't wait for Miami. Thanks for the party and all this. And I'm like, well, the party hasn't happened yet. That's why I could think in the back of my mind. Party hasn't happened yet. Please, party hasn't happened yet. Thank me when it's done.
So I'm curious about one thing, because you were a busy guy this weekend. How many how many podcast episodes did you record with people? I know I saw you over at
3.
Ages of Rock. I saw you over at Growing Up Rock. And did you do some with Podcast Rock City as well?
No, I did the classic rock drops. They asked me to come by, and I did the Rock of Ages and then Growing Up Rock. You and Joe weren't doing things. But that's okay. It's all good.
Yeah, I wasn't able to record anything while having a table full of merchandise and records.
Well, I kind of figured that.
So, you know,
You're a little busy.
Yeah, I did bring my recorder, but I put it to better uses. You know, at the next expo I'm attending in Nashville, the Rock and Pod Expo, I'm purely podcasting there. I am not selling. If I do sell anything, it will have been delivered in advance or paid for in advance and will be pickup only, because there are people who I do want to interview. There are people who I would have loved to have interviewed at this event, but you know what? I just wasn't able to juggle the sorts of things that I wanted to do, because I wanted to do the commemorative, you know, tour edition of Kiss on Tour for the Indy Expo, and I wanted to have, you know, the Gene Simmons Vault supplement and the Crazy Nights book available. So you have to balance between what you want to accomplish, and just looking at Al Tate and, you know, Dennis and those guys right next to me had a mixer, they had video, they had everything set up. And there's three of them. When it's me and a laptop and maybe a microphone and a remote mic, you know, it becomes less fun when you're doing it all yourself. So, no.
And it flew by. The whole weekend actually ended up flying by. There were things I wanted to do after the things I wanted to do or get done, and I totally forgot. You know, I mean, really, I just so flying. I wanted to take more pictures of, you know, people I've met or hung out with. I didn't start taking really pictures till almost Sunday afternoon, Sunday night. Thinking about it hit me like, man, I better take some pictures, or if I don't, people will be gone, because you never know. You never know what's going to happen. You know, you don't know if these things are going to happen again or next month or next year. You never know. I don't know. I usually take like hundreds and hundreds of pictures, and I totally bombed it this year with taking pictures. Bizarre. But I did get my mission accomplished. Well, more than my mission accomplished. I was pretty stunned of all the people who did the drum heads for me. I should say drum heads. I couldn't believe it. I was absolutely floored. Everybody stepped up to the plate. Nobody complained. Nobody said you have to buy something for me to sign this. I was just totally, really, by the time I could even get, I don't know, 10 seconds of words out of my mouth, they already were picking the color and they were already signing away. So, I mean, I can't thank the people enough for, you know what I mean? It was just incredible. But I did say that if people are probably wondering what's going on, but as you know, doing the gathering party and this and that, and I came up with this crazy idea basically last weekend. I thought, well, man, I'm going to Long Island Expo. Maybe I'll get a drum head and just see if any of the guests will sign it, and we'll basically we'll give out like raffle tickets for $10, and as many as you want to buy, whatever, and then we'll pull the winners at the night of the party, and that you have to be there. This one you have to be there, and I just figured I'd go for it and see what happened. Well, I had like 10 people sign at the Long Island Expo, and I said, you know what, man, let's try this in Indy and see what happens. And I talked to the 4x8 guys and stuff, and they were like all into it, so they were all good. So let me just grab it quick. It's right here. So I talked to the 4x8 guys that were already going to do it anyways and stuff, but I grabbed these drum heads and I made a little sticker. It says for Breast Cancer Research Foundation, and like 92 cents for every dollar goes to the cause, and it's worldwide. It's not just like a one state thing, so it's good, So anyways, the guys were like, they all signed it in pink, all 4 guys.
That's nice.
Todd, John, Rob, and Pat, like off the hook guys, man. They were like so nice. And then look at this. Jillian knows, because I was like running back and forth. I was running from hanging out with Julian and to try to help him out, and then running if I saw, if a special guest came in. But this was one of the heads that got signed. I was just like floored. I mean, there's some good names on here. I want to say everybody's a good name. I don't want to say that bad, but I mean, there's some people I thought that might kind of give me a kind of a you know what I mean? Kind of like, well, you have to buy some, or no, I can't really do that. But this one alone, look at it. There's like 16 on it. There's Lita Ford, Craig Grass, Big John Hart, Bobby Rock, Bill Stocky, Chuck Garrick, Michael James Jackson, Robert Fleshman, Roman Fernandez, Brett Fitz, Ryan Cook, Jeremy Asbrook, and Phil Souse. You know what I mean? And I mean, I was like, and it's full. I figured, well, okay. So I'm like, I'm glad I brought 2, because then the other one, which was basically done on Sunday because I didn't know who was going to be there Sunday in and out, and I got another 10, which a couple of people signed twice because they wanted to, they just kind of want. And this was pretty cool, man. I got Anton Fig, Bruce Kulick, Mark Slaughter, Bill Stocky, Todd Kearns, Kerry Stevens, Michael James Jackson, Kyle Cochran, and then Courtney Dole. She's a comedian. She was on the KISS group. She's hilarious. And then in the last signature of the whole night, I grabbed Keith. I saw Keith, and I said, "Can you sign this, Keith?" And he says, "Hey, do you want me to downgrade this?" I'm like, "No, sign it. Everybody's gonna love you. You're part of the KISS thing. Sign the damn thing." So he did. So I mean, so I can't say enough about all the people who basically did this without even blinking an eye. You know what I mean? So, and all the money's going to go to a great cause. It was a win-win. So, I give that. They had to rate that kind of stuff, man. I give it 1,000. You know what I mean? I just literally, I was basically floored away how gracious people were. So, basically, and some didn't know who I was at all, so they're taking a chance, you know what I mean? But, I told everybody to tag them, which I have, and posted it up and everything else. So I was really just basically floored about that. So there's my story with that.
Yeah. And you weren't the only person running around getting autographs, because obviously we had a guitar that we're going to be raffling to support the Rock and Pod Expo taking place in Nashville on August the 25th. And you helped, get Lydia's autograph for that while I was busy behind the table. But, just about everyone at the expo signed that guitar, including Ace, including Eric Singer, all the guys from Frehley's Comet, all the guys, one of the guys from the Gene Simmons band. We missed the other two just because of everything else that was going on. But 3 members of Slaughter, it's absolutely insane. So that right now is. Tickets are being sold for that, $10 a pop for a chance to win an insane, I think it's an Epiphone Heritage Sunburst guitar with autographs from just about every single person who was at the expo. We did not get Keith LaRue. You've got that on us. We did get Craig Gass, and he did also say that we were about to devalue that product by adding his autograph. But and I could verify that guitar is real, and Ace Frehley did sign it. Yeah. And Lydia, and I was there. I saw it. So I know everybody's like, "Oh, how do you know it's real?" It's real. I was there. I saw Julian running around with his head cut off doing it from time to time, and a couple of the other guys that are helping out with that. So I know it's real. So, yeah. Like I said, I went over to Lydia, had Lydia sign it. I actually took the picture of Lydia. I know it's posted somewhere. Isn't that a nice picture? That's a fantastic picture. And every single podcast that was there, Podcast Rock City, Grown Up Rock, Steve and Sonny, Joe, the guys from Ages of Rock, everyone contributed to running that guitar around and getting as much of the talent. It wasn't just me. It was everyone. Oh, yeah. It was a team effort. Everyone made a massive effort. It was like, here, guitar, tag, you go. We need such and such. We had a checklist. Even had to add some names on for people who I'd forgotten were going to be there. Roman, it's like, sign it on behalf of Bill, please, and he put on Bill's favorite saying, which again, Bill is with us in spirit at each one of these events, but it's just very cool that people were willing to do this. The Rock and Pod Expo is about podcasting, which does support a lot of the artists. We do interview a lot of them. We promote their product, and it was so nice of them to give back and help us out for something that they may not directly care about. So, hopefully it does help them, because all these podcasts do cover a lot of music, and even the podcasts who aren't there or weren't around this weekend do care about the music. So that's what the Rock and Pod Expo is about. So that is nationalrockandpodexpo.com. You can get all your information about there and where you can find the tickets. We're also on Facebook, and it's not my it's not my event or anything. I was just doing that to help out. All right, let's go back to this expo. First night's entertainment was absolutely insane. I don't really want to go into too much about the Q&As because I wasn't there for any of them. I was still in the other room, but if you're going for scheduling according to the schedule, I don't know if it went down. Lydia Chris did her Q&A. Carrie Stevens did one. I know that Joe Polo hosted that. I think Lydia was with her. Mark Slaughter's Q&A that I have started to watch a little bit of, and I can't remember who was it. Craig Gass who was doing his Q&A. I don't remember, but he was asked about Vinny's recent comments and gave a very good answer. Very entertaining. And then, that just jumped to the second night. Sorry. So Michael James Jackson. Oh my God. Okay. So Saturday, the first Q&A of the whole event was me Q&Aing Michael James Jackson. So I think we started a few minutes late. And you know what? I spent quite a bit of time with Michael over the last week prior doing the interview, which we put up on our last episode of the KissFAQ podcast. I'd like to thank Michael again for the time that he gave me to do that interview, which, I was very happy with how it turned out. And again, I'm still looking forward to catching up on everyone else's podcasts who did interviews with him, just to, compare and see, add in the information that they gained that I didn't and whatnot. But, Michael has been very generous with his time since coming back into the limelight, really, and giving KISS fans an awful lot of information. So I was very honored when Keith asked me if I would do the Q&A with Michael. It was wonderful to meet him in person. I was very nervous getting up on stage. I am not a public speaker. I do not feel very comfortable up on stage, especially sober. It's much easier when you're doing karaoke. But Michael gave an absolutely wonderful Q&A. For people who don't listen to podcasts, I went with a general selection of questions that I thought would resonate with people who've not watched any podcasts, and maybe some who have get a slightly different answer than the answer that he may have given on any of our shows previously, just because it's under different circumstances. And I thought it went very well. And that's just my perception of it. We were able to ask a few questions at the end. Fortunately, I think Davey would not let us leave the stage until that one guy got his last question in. And what a great question it was. Because I had not thought to ask Michael, what about All Hell's Breaking Loose, the first, kind of Kiss rap rock song? What did he think of it and all that? And that was just a really great question. So, I'd like to thank the fans. We only did 3 fan questions because I just monopolized the rest of the time going through kind of the way I wanted to do it. But it was fun. Michael gave a very good Q&A, very pleasant. And again, I was absolutely thrilled to be invited to do so, and glad that Mike Brunn shot video of it. So I can watch it. I haven't been able to bring myself to yet, not after reading some of the comments on YouTube. But
what did he say about the All Hell's Breaking Loose? Basically, actually, I think, if I'm correct, that KISS is actually the first rock band to use some kind of rap in a rock song originally, I think.
I don't think
if I'm correct.
I think Blondie might take issue with that.
Somebody might know better than I do, but I thought that KISS was the first one to actually put some kind of rap in a rock song before it started becoming popular. But what was Michael James Jackson's answer?
Just that he loved it, He
effing loved it. I think that was his. I think that's what he said. Anyways, though, he loved it. He said it was awesome.
So that was a really good one. And, after about, it was getting close to the 30-minute mark, and I see Bobby Rock just standing by the door with Dave Snowden. Again, another great person to have met that weekend, David Snowden, who, of course, was Vinnie Vincent fan club in the 1980s, has a legacy of his own, just like Bill Starkey, a chapter in the story of everything that's gone on with KISS and those associated with the band. The fans
should have had him with a Q&A.
Yeah, again, he's done a great interview, I believe, on 3 Sides of the Coin. So again, someone who could have been Q&A'd himself, conducting the Q&A with Bobby. And Bobby, again, as I mentioned at the top of the show, I have started to watch his Q&A, and he was awesome. His answers and his delivery of those answers were fantastic.
Because he wasn't like yes or no. He actually gave you a real answer. He didn't, as he said, pancake it. Even though him and Vinny used to love pancakes together.
Right. So moving down the list, we had Bob Kulick. Was that the one Mark Q&A'd? I think that was Mark. Yeah. Which I haven't been able to catch up on yet. Again, all of these are up on YouTube. Big John Hart, I've seen enough on YouTube of him just walking up onto the stage, and then I don't remember who else it was. Eric Singer and Ace. Ace's Q&A was really, really good, and I can't remember which night. Oh, I only saw it on the second night. I missed it on the first night, so I'll have to go back and watch both of those. But then we get into the entertainment. Gene Simmons' band was there without Gene. So you had Jeremy, Ryan, Phil, and then was it E.J. Brown on bass at the beginning.
It gets so confusing after a while. You can't know what people interchanging. And
they started out with him on bass, and then Brent obviously on drums. And what did they perform? The set list was fantastic, except for the Sammy Hagar songs. There's Only One Way to Rock and Heavy Metal from Sammy Hagar. Okay, it's good. I like it. I admit it. Can't bash Sammy.
I wonder why they picked two Sammy Hagar songs like that, though. I'm just curious. I wonder why.
Because they're fun, and because they're not Van Hagar songs. That's fine. And then for Heavy Metal, Chuck Garrick came in on bass and switched out with EJ, who left the stage. And then one of the the middle of the set is high point after high point after high point for me. Chuck Garrick, fucking killed by death, Motorhead, just absolutely slaughtered it. I was sitting in the back, just wanting to go and drink some whiskey and cokes, which I guess follows through nicely to one of the next songs. Then Lita Ford comes up on stage, Cherry Bomb. Did not see that coming. You
didn't see that coming? Come on. What do you think she was going to play?
Kiss Me Deadly?
You're right. Come on, really?
Close My Eyes Forever?
With the rocking bands up like that, it had to be Cherry Bomb.
Dancing on the Edge? I don't know. Cherry Bomb. I mean, and it was so, so good. I saw Joan Jett in 1989 in Singapore, and now I've seen Lita. So... only one.
I'm surprised she didn't do more than one song, though. You know what I mean? She was up there, she did the one song, and she just kind of like, okay, thank you, good night, goodbye. I'm thinking, wait a minute. I figured she would do at least two, but guess not.
No, theirs was a very short set. And right before we did this, I was just watching a little bit of Mike's footage of this set. So close. So wonderful to see Lita that close up and marry it up. I'm going to sync it up with my audio. And I think it'll look and sound absolutely fantastic. And then they go into Pat Travers, Snorting Whiskey, which I love. And that was on the Eric Singer Project album as well, so a nice tie-in there. And then EJ comes back out. I keep saying EJ. I hope those are his ET or EJ. Whatever. Someone slapped me because, again, so many names.
It's all right. Hey, I'm getting confused, and I was there too with you, and it's just the whole... You know what I mean?
Well, he closed out with a cover of Almost Human, and that was just really, again, great set, just so fun. This is like the sort of music you could sit back in a bar, have a few beers, and just rock and roll all night to. It really is the music of the 70s and 80s, mostly 70s.
And you never knew it was coming.
No.
You never knew it was coming. That was the click of it, the whole thing about it. You don't know what song was coming. They were interchanging people. So you never knew it was coming, and it only lasted, 20 minutes, I think, most of the time, 20, 25 minutes at the most. So you got this, like, okay, bang, 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 it's over. Then the next thing, bang, 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 it's over. You know what I mean? But you never knew it came. You never knew it was going to hit you, which was cool, Because let's face it, some people after a while, we know the KISS set list, you know what I mean? So you already know what's coming, but the whole weekend, it just bang, 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 kept coming at you. Next person comes on the stage, person goes off the stage. You know what I mean? And it's not like the biggest stage in the world either, because you're in this like little, you say not little, but hall. You know what I mean? banquet hall.
Yeah.
Somebody's looking at you. Tell her you love her.
No, I'm just trying to check that E.T. Brown. Thank you so much, E.T. Not EJ. I apologize. I just wanted to get that right. I don't want to fuck up anyone's name any worse than I have to. But there you go. I am Julian. I do fuck up regularly, shall we say?
I screw up all the time, anyways, and who cares?
No offense was intended, of course. All right. So after the Gene Simmons band gets done, and again, go onto YouTube, watch the video. The Eric Singer All Stars hit the stage, and when they hit the stage, I have no idea what they're going to do because it's half the Kulik brothers. It's Eric's up there and Ace is there as well, and Deuce and Parasite. What have I said? How many times have I said it? When I go to a KISS concert, I've got a have to hear song, and that is Deuce. Goes back to the first time I probably ever heard KISS when I got off that plane in 1978. That talent show I always talk about, Deuce and Black Diamond.
It never gets old.
It never gets old. Deuce.
The Deuce never gets old. people always ask me, what's some of your favorite songs? It's really hard because there's so many good ones and stuff like that, and depending on your mode or mood or whatever. But Deuce, man, never. It's like one of those songs that never fails. It's always good. You can hear it again and again and again. So I loved it. And let's, I don't know how much we want to get into this, but I know some people, like you said, you saw some things on YouTube or the FAQ website ranking on Ace about how he was standing and playing and this and that. It's a known fact that Ace is just getting over bronchitis, so he was having a hard time with the bronchitis, and his back was killing him. So he was having a hard time, just in general, his back was killing him, and he's coming over bronchitis, So if anybody wants to give him some flack, whatever, you know what I mean? The guys, basically.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Every time I talk, I'm getting a lot of feedback on your mic, so I apologize for that tonight. But that is my response to fucking grumbling about Ace. You know what? He was signing all day long, or sitting on a stoop, doing photographs all day long, and getting over bronchitis. And you know what? What birthday did he just celebrate? Yeah. So is he the same age as, say, 1985? No, he's not. Was there a little bit of sloppiness? Yeah, but he's Ace Frehley, goddammit. Or Frehley, whichever way you want to say it today. It does not matter. He was up there. What mattered was there was a smile on his face. He looked like he was enjoying himself. There was like that little Ace look going on. And again, I couldn't see from where I was in the hall because you couldn't get any further back than I was. I was standing right at the very back, up on a chair against the wall, just taking it all in. I didn't need to be up front. I didn't need to be close. I knew there'd be video to look at later. And
it's in a hall. It's in a banquet hall. It's not like there's a lot of, you know what I mean? So whatever you get, you get. You get the sounds bouncing off the walls, everything. And it's, people, you got to make excuses. No, I'm not making excuses for the guy. I'm telling you right now, I mean, you and I or anybody else, you can't do what you did 15 years ago or even 10 years ago or 5 years ago, maybe, And besides, the guy's been brutal to himself.
How was Ace's performance? Let me tell you how bad Ace's performance was. Ace's performance was so bad, I went out and bought 2 tickets to see him in Petaluma and Berkeley in August. Yeah, that's how much I didn't enjoy seeing Ace, that I'm going to go see him twice more when he comes up to my neck of the wood again. So, if you don't like it, turn off. It's okay to check out. If you're not enjoying it and all you can do is pick up on the little negative things, if that's all you've got left in your tactical toolbox as a KISS fan, then it's time to stop being a tool and move on. Because if you're not enjoying it, don't try and ruin it for everyone else who isn't quite ready to leave the party yet. The party's going to be over far too soon. I want to enjoy it while I can. If you're not having fun, that's perfectly fine. I don't mind you saying that you're not having fun. Go for it. But I don't need you saying it in every goddamn thread over and over and over, because then I get to the point, well, you're just freaking misery gutsers trying to bring everyone else down, and I don't want to hear it. So you're allowed to say it once, but if you're still here the next time and you're like, well, no, fuck off, get out of here, just leave. It's okay to say I just can't do this anymore. It might even be better if you just don't watch anymore as well, because you're just going to make yourself unhappy. Ace is Ace. I'm happy for every single one of these guys. I don't care if it's the younger guys in the Gene Simmons band. I don't care if it's Eric Singer, who doesn't seem to change, is always the same energetic drummer. Brent Fitz, same energetic drummer. Bobby fucking Rock, holy shit. I don't care. I want to enjoy just watching these guys.
What you got to understand, too, is that, some of those guys have taken, like Bobby Rock said, he took care of himself. He didn't get into the whole 80s, even in the 80s. He says he didn't get into all that during his career. He didn't get sucked into all the drugs and all that shit that everybody did in the 80s. So he actually says, I remember a lot of stuff. I remember wedded places and spots and stuff like that. But you got to remember, man, Ace played the rock star. Ace actually did. He did drink, he did drugs, he did over and over and over and over again. It's taking its toll on the guy, He's not a spring chicken anymore. And let's face it, man, you do that stuff. You used to drink like that. You take a lot of drugs like that over and over and over again. It's going to come up and haunt you. And let's face it, Ace almost can't hear anymore. You know, Mama, he's going to turn it up, turn it up. We already know he has a hard time hearing, so it must be getting worse on him. You know, he can't hear definitely out of like one ear, so he keeps turn it up, turn it up, turn it up. He can't hear, so you know, he's a legend. Christ's sakes, man! And I'll tell you, every time he stepped on that stage, that crowd like went from this high to this high. You know what I mean? Every time he stepped on that stage. So
I am not an Ace Frehley apologist. I am not apologizing for him. He is completely deaf. I mean, he was shouting for monitors. He can't hear what he's playing half the time. And then Eric was shouting that it was deafening him, so he couldn't hear. I mean, it was so loud for everyone else that they couldn't hear what they were playing because they were just being drowned out. So I'm sure it makes
my ears were ringing. Were your ears ringing? My ears were ringing when I got out of there that night.
It took me 2 days.
That's been a long.
That's
been a long time since I've heard my ears like boom, 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 my ears like a long time since I've heard my ears, you know, hearing that tone ringing. You know,
I'm not going to apologize for Ace. You know, so people who call me an Ace apologist, or you know, it may seem that way. You maybe saw Ace in 93, 94, 87, 88. I never got a chance to see him in those, you know, years. So maybe I am overcompensating for that lack of luck being in the right place at the right time to see him. So I'm going to enjoy it as much as I can while he's still wanting to tour and play, because he may well get to a point where he just cannot play live any longer because he simply cannot hear. So I will take what I can while I can and enjoy every damn moment of it, for the sake especially of having Ace up on stage with Eric and, you know, doing cool shit with different people that day. I mean, come on, let's get into more of the set. Parasite. I mean, and then here's the one that really got me. Christopher Williams from Accept joins them for Strange Ways. Then Bob comes up on stage and joins Ace with Cold Gin. And then Ace leaves, and you're left with, and here for me, again, as a guy who missed so much of KISS from not being able to see them for not being in the right country at the right time, Domino with Bob, and Tough Love, first time ever performed by Bruce and Eric since they were in the studio. I think Eric was quipping from the stage. So here, I didn't see the Revenge Tour.
Tough Love, man, that was awesome. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, I was in between, you know, countries at that time. So every time I get, you know, I geeked out last January when, you know, Derek did the the Los Angeles Expo, excuse me, and I got to see Bruce on stage with Pris playing God Gave Rock and Roll to You and Detroit Rock City. I completely went gaga because I had not seen Bruce play those KISS songs live before because, again, I was not lucky enough to be in the States. So, you know, a lot of you are spoiled. You were in the right place at the wrong time. You weren't traveling. You weren't elsewhere in other countries, you know, and yeah, he did come to England, but I wasn't there at the time. I was in the States when he was in England, and then when he was in the States, I was in England. So, yeah, tough shit, Julian, but, you know.
Yes, so, I got lucky.
So that's why it's so important to me to get to see Eric Singer and Bruce in particular doing tracks off Revenge. Yeah, Lonnie, I'm saying nice stuff about Revenge today, and you're not even here. You know, was just fantastic as a KISS fan.
Tough Love was really, really good. I mean, that was awesome. And you could see the crowd. The crowd really got into it, too. I mean, yeah, they really got into Tough Love. You know, for a song that's never been played. I mean, I can't, you know. So, yes, definitely, it was cool.
It was really, really fun, and they closed out with, again, anything off Paul's solo album, anything that Bob's done with the band. If he performs, if he's up on stage doing it, it's special. Again, I didn't see Paul in '89. I only saw him in 2006 for the one show. But to see Bob doing the solos and playing the guitar with his brother, again, you know, I enjoy it. Does it matter if it's perfect? No. Well, this band was pretty damn perfect.
It's live.
Yeah, between Bob and Bruce, there's not a lot of imperfection going on guitars because they are very accurate. They are very good at what they do. The rest of the band are no slouches. All right, so let's move into day two, and I'm just going to try and bring up the again, I'm going off the schedules here. So Joe Polo, Podcast Rock City. I can't remember if Sonny was up there for the Lydia and Carrie Q&As. I think they combined them. I'm not sure. Again, go look on YouTube. Carrie was a sweetheart. when I went and asked her to sign the guitar for the raffle, absolutely adorable, very, very nice lady. Lydia.
It was funny. It was funny telling a couple of like the little stories about Eric. It's kind of funny because you always hear the stories that other people have told about Eric, like Gene or Paul, this other thing. But now you actually have somebody new that told us a couple things about Eric that we didn't know or would do or stuff. And it's kind of funny how Eric was a character. He was basically a kid thrown into the fire, as you want to call it, at the time. Hey, by the way, Peter Criss is out of here. You're basically the biggest band in the world in the United States. And, now we got this new album that just came out. It's not really doing hot in America, but we're going to go to Australia. Yeah. Now you're in the band. Let's do this, right? And a new character. Now you're thrown into a new band and you're thrown into the fire. So Eric was basically thrown into the fire. This kid's thrown into the fire, and, he had fun. He's like a kid, and we know some of the stories that, that Paul's come out and said that, how he treated Eric and this and that and everything else. But anyways, Kerry said that they had fun and that's how it was. You know what I mean? Eric was a character, so yeah. So it was interesting hearing a couple things out of her talking about Eric, things that I never heard of before. Like the first time they met, he trashed her car. It's like the first date, first time I met you, let's trash your car. Okay, go drink, trash your car. You know what I mean? It's funny. And he never paid her back after he said he was, but he never paid her back the money to get the car fixed.
Well, she's apparently working. Feedback. She's apparently working on a book, so that should be interesting. Hopefully have some more stuff about what she's done. Moving on, Mark Slaughter, we've talked about a bit of that Q&A. Check it out. He's very entertaining. Then the big one, Anton Fig. I have not had a chance to watch that, and Jason Q&A'd that. Congratulations, getting to that Anton showed up. Because there was no guarantee that he was going to be able to do so. I seem to remember there being a little bit of a disclaimer with his schedule and whatnot, but his being there kind of made this day. It was all about Frehley's Comet, because after his Q&A was the Frehley's Comet photo shoot. I regret, talking about no regret, so I've got a few, not doing the photo op, but there you go. Again, I did not want to leave the table as much as, even if I'd had coverage, I didn't really want things getting sold without me being there to say thank you to the people in person.
Yeah, but I kept telling you, Kim and I would keep covering you, and you just kept refusing.
but again, it's the personal thing that when someone comes to the KissFAQ,
you didn't want to sign anyways. So I know, it would have been fine. Here's your book, goodbye.
But I still wanted to say thank you in person to each.
I know. I get the whole point.
Yeah. So,
but you could have done it. It would have taken you a couple minutes, and you would have been all set.
Yeah. What? Just snuck in line at the end again. So then you get to I did get to go to both of the Q&As that evening, which was Bruce. Bruce, as always, is fantastic. He again, it's I sound like a broken record. Go on YouTube and watch it. He gave some very good answers that really explain a lot. The one I liked the best was him talking about I think it was the wireless system in England, that he complained about it, and it came across as whining rather than how to approach the kind of issue. And that's something that I think is important in all walks of life. It's okay to have a problem and have an issue with something, but how you handle communicating that up above you, and how it's perceived, can help dictate the response to that. So that, it was a good learning point, a good teaching moment, really, that don't be whiny, be business. I will make you sound better, but to do so, I need a new piece of gear. Not that, John Bon Jovi, Bon Jovi's got a better piece of gear than me, as the opening act. So, very, very well taken. There's some good questions about Carnival of Souls and, just kind of like the timeline. Yes, we've heard a lot of the answers, but to hear it from the man's mouth as well. And, of course, the role of the KISS guitarist as the Ace Frehley.
Too funny.
Yeah, so then Ace's Q&A was a cluster. because the guy with his CD, and I was listening.
Oh, yeah, that one.
I taped that, and I can't use any of the tape because I'm commenting on all the questions, I'm being a dick in the back and going, edit him out, get rid of him. You're wasting time. That's me. But you know what? A guy gets a question, a guy's going to do what a guy's going to do. We've watched Kiss and Gene and do all their merchandising. I guess if you get the opportunity, you're going to try, but Ace wasn't going for it. And then the other question, which kind of amused me, was, do you remember your first show in Indiana?
Yeah.
To Ace.
But I can't remember what I did just 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, but the guy at least had a good follow-up that he knew the answer, and it was a kind of a segue into another kind of question. So that was cool. I mean, there was some cool stuff. Would you work with Kiss again? Yeah, it depends how big the check is. Yeah, Ace being Ace. He can't answer a lot of that stuff. So it was fun. Yeah. But after that, you get into that night's entertainment was the whole reason of the weekend was the prospective Frehley's Comet reunion, which again, how many times have I said this tonight? I didn't get to see Frehley's Comet in the 80s, so even
I did. I saw.
How many times? How many times? Just the once?
Well, depending on what you call Frehley's Comet at the time, because Anton was only there for
87.
Was he there the whole time?
No, he's there, I think, through September 87. And then he was replaced by
Jamie? Was it the Jamie Ockleff or on the poster I got?
Jamie Aldiker. But
yeah,
I can't remember if he came in first or whether there was someone else who filled in.
Yeah, so I mean, they had a couple of drummers come in and out and stuff. So, I saw Frehley's Comet in Springfield, Mass. Early on. That's why I said I got that shirt when I wore it in the picture. People were like, I mean, when I walked in with that shirt on, they just the balls at Frehley's Comet thing. And I mean, even the guys, everybody who taking the pictures, the band, they're like, look at that shirt. Where'd you get that shirt? They said. I go, it's my original Frehley's Comet shirt from back in 1987. And I'm like, I'm stuffing myself in it. I just got, my belly's hitting a little, suck it in a little bit. People were making jokes in line. I'm like, I got into it. It's because it's one of those, it's supposed to be the long sleeve baseball, but it only goes up to about here. So you like pull it up a little bit so you can, but it's still fitted us for the picture. You know what I mean? It's like one of those things you take it off nice and slowly, and now you clean it, put it away.
You know what you look like wearing that T-shirt? You look like Gene on the cover of Dressed to Kill. You know how his jacket's like short and all that, and he's a little bit scrunched up because it's obviously pinching at his shoulders. Well, that's what you reminded me of when you came in wearing that T-shirt. I was like, holy shit! Can't believe you got into that and that it didn't tear.
It was funny. I understand that Keith went live. He was doing a Facebook Live thing while people were getting their photos taken with Frehley's Comet. And I walked in and said, I said, this is what I really, sir. And I put my arm around John, and Ace is on the other side. I was trying to do, but Ace is got a little far. And I figured, well, I don't want to screw up the picture. You know what I mean? I don't want to start moving around too much. Because then and then I'm like, it's about beep time. It's about effing time. And the place started laughing again, You know what I mean? It's about time. Even if they didn't get together for something like taking the pictures or getting people, together, it's another dream come true. Really, it's another geek out moment for me. That was a super highlight. Having a picture with the original Frehley's Comet, man. It was, man. It was sensational. I loved it. It's a bummer you missed it. I mean, I wish you went. If I had known you really wanted to go, we definitely would have held your spot.
No, there you go. That's life. I got to see that band perform, Rock Soldiers. Rock Soldiers was a bit dodgy, but once they got into it, they're all the backbeat on that band. Come on, Anton and John holding it down was solid. Here's what really impressed the living shit out of me. All right, Ace sang Rock Soldiers. And then Todd comes in on breakout.
Calling to you.
And no, let's not get ahead of ourselves here. Todd impressed the hell out of me. I've always said that I'm more a Richie guy. That I like his swagger and his unpredictability. He's like a carbon copy of Ace in some way. He's rock star that you never know if he's going to fall over or throw up. Todd, consummate professional. has a hell of a set of pipes on him still, and that came across when, you know, the Frehley's Comet stuff was over very quickly, and they did the wonderful photo of them backs to the audience, and if you turn the gamma up on it, you can see me right at the very back of the hall. I'm just sitting there like that, way back again, right up against the wall. Then, you know, Ace takes off, and Pat and Rob come on stage for, you know, the 4x Fate section. Those 4 songs, that 4x Fate, I have not bought that album yet, and I'm buying it because of what I heard live that day. So
well, you're gonna get, because you have the don't you have the excuse me?
Oh yeah, I do.
You have the experience, the special VIP 4x Fate experience at the Gathering, don't you? The acoustic. You're going to get a signed CD by all 4. You know, the CD Relentless is signed by all 4 of them. And actually, I got them all. They signed them all when I was in Indy for me. So you'll have your nice, fresh copy of Relentless, 4x Fate's Relentless, with all 4 of them signed, each round the front of it.
So I enjoyed the hell out of their set, and I'm just talking about their new songs, you know, Follow Me and Moonshine, because they weren't able to. They were set up with a keyboard to do It's Over Now, but technical issues prevented them from doing so. But you know what else absolutely kills is Something Moved, which I hate. I thoroughly enjoyed. And I absolutely love Calling to You. And I'm so thrilled I finally got to see Todd Howarth and John, and the rest of the band for that matter, perform it. Because it really is a hell of a catchy song. I know it's 707, a rewrite of, you know, something a little bit earlier from Todd. But to see him sing it, hear him sing it, and see him sing it, you know, was just really, really fun. That was my surprise, that I enjoyed 4x Fate, which I had no idea. I mean, I've heard and seen some of their stuff online, and I've kind of like been, oh, it's all right. But to be there in person, hearing it and feeling it and watching it and smelling the grease paint, for, you know, want of a better term.
Look at Pat, you know, the newer guy, Pat. I mean,
right.
he really gets into it. He's smiling. He's having a great time. You can see it. You know what I mean? He's not like faking it. He's really, you know, really into it. He wrote one of the songs too. You know.
Yeah, he wrote Follow Me. So, you know, they are tight and they are good. Yeah. So, you know, here is a recommendation for those of you who aren't getting a copy of the album, the Gatherings acoustic set. Go and get a copy. You know, do a digital download. I'm sure they have those on them up on iTunes or Amazon Music or whatever. Buy it from the band. Support new music. It really is good. You know, Follow Me and Moonshine are songs that I will listen to again. All right, let's get into the Kulick Brothers performance with special guest Ace Frehley. You know, so I don't remember which songs Ace did that night, or even if he was on stage. I'm sure he was, but they ripped into All American Man. And this is a taste for the cruise. So again, people who are at the Indy Expo who aren't able to go on the cruise, here's, you know, a taste in person, you know, and hopefully I will be on the cruise, but, you know, if anything does happen that I have to cancel, then at least I will have seen the Kulick Brothers. And Tears Are Falling, Larger Than Life. Again, All American Man, Larger Than Life. You're just missing... You're missing one song off there, huh? Almost Human, with no Bob. Tonight You Belong to Me, and they did a nice little bluesy extended intro bit instead of the 12-string acoustic part that's on the album recording. I thought that was a nice transition. And then, of course, another song off Asylum, Who Wants to Be Lonely, which I was gaga for. Bruce's solo on there. I mean, the man is just amazing.
It's awesome. Like I said, you never knew it was coming the 2 nights. That's what made it even more interesting. Well, you kind of knew maybe what certain couple of songs, but for the most part, you never know what everybody was going to pull out, which I think was really, really awesome. I mean, like I said, sometimes you go into things, okay, they're going to play this, but I mean, they threw in daggers. You know what I mean? And everybody, you could see it in everybody's face, and we go, and then it's jumping up and down and singing and go, you know, and it's kind of funny because, you know, when you go to concerts nowadays, you see, you know, like a lot of people are recording, you know, all the time. But there are a lot of people, I mean, there was people recording and stuff or video or whatever doing, but there are a lot of people just singing and dancing. Yep. It kind of brought back a little bit that, you know, that 80s and, you know, stuff like that. People are actually just like, yeah, and they're singing and, you know, people like like holding on to each other, hugging each other, and you know what I mean? It was freaking fantastic all around. With the whole music thing was 1,000 right off the bat between Saturday and Sunday. You know, the whole big mixture and every intertwined. Yeah, I loved it. It was awesome. You know, like I said, you gotta go, you know, like YouTube and stuff and see all this stuff. You know, if you weren't there, even if you were there, I was there, but I'm going back now and watching everything because it's just, you know, the day and then all of a sudden everything going on. You know, because you know we got photos. You know, and then we can, you know, you want to get into the photos.
You'll be able to talk about those after we finish with the music here. But you know, Nowhere to Run, Crazy Nights, straight into Turn on the Night. So that's another massive win for me. You know, Todd Kearns. Insane. Very, very good vocalist. Does a great job with quite a broad spectrum of material from Paul Stanley. You know, there's a lot of different, you know, singing styles in there and some Gene stuff as well. So I think he does an extraordinarily good job. And, well, he's playing bass at the same time, isn't he? So, you know.
They're all getting into it. He was getting into it. They're all getting into it. It was so cool. Yeah, and I think they love getting into it because it's different. It's not the same.
He wasn't playing to the audience. I mean, you know, he was getting people, you know, like he was playing a full concert, not just the 300 diehards at a KISS Expo. I mean, he was really trying to work the audience. So, you know, it was fun. The passion, the professionalism, you know, everything. The performance was just staggering. And then they closed out with Goodbye. So, again, I got 3 songs off Paul Stanley's 78 solo album this weekend. Got a couple of tracks off. I can always do without Crazy Nights, but they did a great job with it. And Turn on the Night, that's a massive win for me personally. And then, of course, Bob on, you know, the Alive 2 stuff. So, you know, when you take the first night with the classic KISS stuff, the Revenge stuff, the Frehley's Comet, it's just absolutely amazing. And then the Gene Simmons cover band, you know, the amount of music.
That would make a great CD if you put it all together in one package. And they made a 20th anniversary CD. Yeah. Marketing. I don't know if they could get away with it or by law or whatever it is, but imagine that. You could have a 20th anniversary, like the 20th anniversary they had, CD. All that stuff. And that would make a full CD, I bet you. If there's 20 minutes a set, 25 minutes a set,
that's 2 CDs seriously. Easy. I mean, that was a good length performance, especially Sunday night, and Saturday night's all a blur. But you know, good length performance. You don't. There's no way to feel you didn't get your money's worth out of this event. I mean, flying in from Boston for you, flying in from San Francisco to me, I felt at the end of it that it was fantastic value for money. That, you know, obviously I didn't buy all the extra autograph or photo tickets because I just didn't have time to do any of that stuff. So, I mean, which ones did you do, and how did those go?
Well, if people, well, you know, I guess we kind of explain it to people that weren't there. So anyways, I think what it was, the VIP was first, so they got in at 9 o'clock at the expo. Then Platinum they were let in at 12, and then they called General Admission. It was in at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So they had it set up where, you know, Platinum goes first, and you get your you know, your laminates, and they're numbered. So basically, you'd go up there and you get in line, and then they would do the same thing with the, you know, and so on and so on. But it was kind of interesting. This is one of my moments here with this stuff, is that during the week last week, I think it was about Tuesday or Wednesday, they started coming out with a schedule. Well, they originally said the expo was going to end at 8 o'clock, you know, so people bought in flights and stuff like that. And the next thing you know, they're saying, well, the bands aren't going at 9:30. These pictures aren't going to be taken to then. So I know actually some people who bought like high-priced ticket stuff actually missed stuff, and they were trying to sell it because they had to get out of there. They were actually leaving, and that was kind of frustrating for some people. And then now for myself, I had basically a general admission ticket, so technically I wasn't going to get until 2, but I ended up helping out Julian, so I was able to get in and sit there and help you out without getting in trouble because I wasn't doing anything bad anyway, so whatever. So anyways, when it came time for the general admission people to get their photo, say with Ace, right? So Kim and I went to go get a photo with Ace. Well, when your package, you got this little card. It's almost like a ticket concert, but it's thick. and it was all fancy. It was all cool. And then on the back, it had like a silver thing, said Kiss Everywhere Else, and it had a number. So you figured, oh, that little number, man, that's the number your order you're going to go into, and you get to keep this little card. Well, you get there. I just happened to went over there strolling there. I think, well, it's about time we're going to go on to go get our photos. And I start talking. I go, hey, what number you got? What number? And they're like, what do you mean numbers? And I'm like, well, I did number orders. Here's the card. And they're like, oh, they're not going by numbers. I'm like, what do you mean they're not going by numbers? No, they're just saying general, like a GA thing, just stand in line. I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute, isn't this I thought this was supposed to be that, but anyways, people lined up. Not that I know of. Nobody complained. Nobody bitched and stuff like that. So it wasn't really a big deal because everybody kind of knew each other. So it was really friendly. So it wasn't like the other disaster somewhere else, which we won't mention names or anything. But, so anyways, we go through. As soon as you get through, you get to a table. There's a table there, and they had somebody there. And so basically you go in on this side of the table, and then you end up coming on this side of the table. So you're like a round table. But those little cards that you thought you could keep, you can't keep. You had to give it back to them. So you go there, you get your photo and whatever, you come back out. You don't think it's a big deal until yesterday. Now, this is what irks me. I'm sorry. Actually, I'm not sorry. This is what makes me mad about this situation. And I'm telling you, and this is why I get in trouble sometimes with other people. I don't kiss ass. This makes me mad. When you bought your package and you get that little card, that's yours. You basically paid for it. If you can't keep it, they should at least rip them up and throw them away. Why are they all of a sudden putting them back on the website and they're selling them back? So basically they took the cards away from us and now they're selling them on the website. That's fucking bullshit. I'm sorry. I usually don't do plenty of F-bombs, but that's wrong. We paid for that stuff. It's like your laminates. Julian paid a lot of money for his laminates.
Yeah. All right, let's quickly get back to this. So,
where were you?
Where were you? You were unhappy with the tickets, handing them in and then seeing them being sold on the website. What may be the case with that is that they need to collect them in order to audit the amount of signatures that they're providing. There is a monetary aspect, no doubt, to paying the artist for each one of the signatures. It's probably a percentage. I don't even want to think about all the arcane art calculating all of that. So they probably have to collect X amount and say, this is X amount, and here are the physical proof of the tickets that we collected. And it's easier than tearing them in half or paying for a perforation to be made. I know when Derek did it, and you mentioned the other expo, I did want to just apologize to Derek for my snarkiness in the other comment, but there are still, in the other episode, but there are still people out there who did not get everything that they paid for, hence my snarky comment about the organization. It's nothing personal, Derek. It is business. I'm not attacking you personally, but there are people who feel that they did not get what they paid for at some of the expos, and I just want to leave it there. I met Vinny. I had a good time, but let's get back to this expo. So back to the tickets. It may just be a matter of here's a stack of the actual stubs without the hassle of tearing them off, etc., etc. And they may be excess stock that they're selling. I mean, personally, I don't think it's any of my business. I don't care. But I do understand on the back of my Vinny photo, or my Vinny autograph from Atlanta, I do have the commemorative stub that they tore off the section. So I do understand that you would like to have those kept. And maybe that's something that they can think about, for future expos. But with the amount of photos being taken and the amount of, different permutations that were being offered, I wouldn't be surprised in just the making it easier on organization and moving everything along as fast as possible, and then accounting for all of the photographs or signatures that were taken in order to make sure the artists were paid for each one of those that, obviously they were entitled to. That the easiest way to keep everything smooth is just to take the damn tickets and then sell the excess on the website.
Yeah, but when you basically just literally handed them over within less than 24 hours, you see an email basically saying, "Look, new products," and that's the stuff that pops up right away when you open the website up. What would you think? You're like, "What the hell?" You know what I mean?
I totally get it.
They might be the stuff they didn't sold. Maybe they did terrorize up. Maybe they did. But I'm sorry, but when you sorry again. When you all of a sudden you get an email, you just got back and you see an email. oh, new products available. You can buy these for a set for $3.99. You're thinking they're selling the stuff I just handed them back, which I already paid for. You know what I'm thinking? That's what you think right away. And for the people who say, oh, it's not a big deal, it's just a little piece of paper. Well, if it's just not a big deal piece of paper, they're selling them. So, that's why it makes me frustrated when you see something like that, And it's supposed to be special. We went. You know what I mean? You and I went. The people who went, those are the people who should have this stuff, not the people who didn't go. That's the whole thing with the KISS Cruise used to be about originally. You could only get it on the KISS Cruise. If you didn't go, you didn't get it. Now that's slacked off over the years. So it's kind of, I don't know. As a collector, sure, you love to have this stuff, but if you paid for it, you should be able to keep it. I'm sorry, they should do something. I guarantee you, they're probably going to do something in the future. We could rip it off and stuff. But if you actually, people have seen them. I've taken some pictures. I mean, they really look cool, and it would really look cool with the rest of your stuff in it,
Yeah, they did look cool, and it's always nice to keep that thing. Again, they may need to keep a stack of them rubber banded together around for quite a while, simply for legal purposes. But it's a good, a teaching point, or maybe a good takeaway. That fans want to hold on to these things and they may say, well, you didn't actually buy the ticket, you bought the photo opportunity and that was just your access to it. So there are so many different ways to, skin this cat that, there it is. If you're doing an expo, which, I mean, you're doing a gathering, you're making sure that we get commemorative tickets that, we're not having to hand in. I'm going to get it back, Andy. Am I going to get my, am I?
We'll get there. We're getting there. Don't worry. So, we'll take care of you.
For anyone who's organizing expos, there you go. Here's a customer right here who has a valid point. I'm sure it can be thought about or at least considered. That some fans want to make sure. So therefore make sure that it's just done that way, and therefore all fans get them, and have some other way. And again, I have no idea what the mechanisms are in the background for accounting or whatnot. I'm supremely uninterested in those details because I didn't do any of these photo ops. I didn't do any of the autographs. I did one of the autograph sessions with Eric and Ace, but none of the other ones. So it doesn't affect me personally.
Yeah, and then I did ask. I went up to the table because it said on the table, you can't buy extra signatures unless you are the VIP people or the platinum people. And I asked, hey, can I get one? Because Kim, she's been a fan too for a long time, but she's never met Ace. So I'm like, oh, this is a perfect time to meet Ace. She's got her solo album cover, which is beat up. She wants the one when she was a kid. It's got like electrical tape on it and stuff, but that's the one that, she grew up as a kid, and she wanted basically say signed by Ace, basically to Kim, Ace Frehley. Well, they said, no, you can't do that. I said, okay. But then when I found out, of course, after the fact on Sunday night when the expo's all over with, and they say, hey, Andy, did you get photos? I mean, extras, signatures, whatever. I says, no, because you couldn't buy any. And he says, oh, no, they said go ahead and you could buy them for Ace and everything at the end. Ugh! You know what I mean? Seriously? No announcements? No saying, no coming around with a phone or somebody or coming around saying, hey, anybody would like to purchase, anybody like to, purchase a signature from Ace or Eric or Bruce or whatever. You know what I mean? No word at all, because I was already told no in the afternoon, earlier in the afternoon, no, you can't, no, there's none. And then all of a sudden at the end of the day, they said, yes. Ugh. So now I missed it for, it would have been for, Kim to, first be there. Now this would have been Ace. I mean, this is, what I mean? That first time experience, and that's what you want. That's like I said, I usually have, when I go to have stuff signed, I want it personally in front of me, even if they just sign their name. I want to see it personally done. It's like you in the book. I bought some books from you, and what I've said to you, you give me the book, I want to see it, I want you to sign it to me. And most of the time I want the date. And that's the thing I wanted to have to Kim had the chance, is basically meeting Ace and basically her putting on her solo album to Kim, Ace Frehley. You know what I mean? And that would make her go into tears and everything else. It's just one of those things. It's that one that's that, thingamajig, But she was very excited about her ace Frehley pictures. She was all giggles. It was funny. We had a great time with it. It's funny. I had a a black shirt, and it just had a little ace icon right up in here in the chest, just a little one. And Kim had a full ace shirt, the big one with that ace all over the front. So we go in there, and I go on Ace's right side. I'm trying to, because of faces. And Kim goes on the other side, and Ace turns around and looks at me and goes, "Hey, where'd you get that shirt?" And I says, "I've had this shirt, I don't know, for like forever." And he turns around and looks at Kim and he goes, "I've seen that shirt before, And then he sits and he starts, and he started talking a little bit more. And he goes, "You two should switch." And he started giggling, that little giggle, and he giggles in Kim's ear. And Kim's like, you know what I mean? They laugh. It was funny. It's like the joke, because I'm the tall guy and I got the little ace on, and she's the little person and she got the big ace shirt on. That was the kind of the joke. And they started laughing about it. So, it was good. And I do have to say, for the pictures too, they actually, you probably know too, they actually gave you a little bit of time. It wasn't, if you've been on a KISS cruise, you know what I'm talking about. You go in there, man. I mean, they were pretty fast with the photos, but they were like lightning fast. Basically, they gave you a chance to go and say hi, turn around, where you want to be. And they took I think they took like 3 or 4 shots, of each time. So if you, blanked or eyes, whatever you looked, or you're going, you know what I mean? You're standing next to one of the idols going, at least they, they took like 3 or 4 shots, you got a chance to get ready, fire, ready, go. You know what I mean? They gave you like a little bit of chance. It's not the KISS cruise. You're already going, as you're walking like inside the door, going, you know what I mean?
Get out.
Yeah. Yeah, and then basically move, go. You know what I mean? And he basically walked around, went back out the door, and that was it. You know what I mean? So, I mean, the photos went really well.
I thought the photo experience was fantastic, because obviously I did do the photo with Eric and Ace, and I go in, and I had a few moments of harassment by Eric first, of course, which is why my expression is as it is on my face on my photo. And he
loves you, doesn't he?
It was really fun. I don't know what love's got to do with it, but he's got a good sense of humor, and it's always fun.
Not with me though.
It's always fun interacting with him, and Ace was just sitting there grinning. So it was a good moment, versus say Reno, when I did the platinum package there. It really was a fast process, and they're telling you, I mean, they've got basically a gunny sergeant there that you will do this, you will not do that, you will do this quickly, you will stand there, the photo will go, and you will get out, and you will smile. But even in Reno, because of my T-shirt moment, it wasn't as fast as that, as some other people. I'm just surprised. I mean, I did give you my pass for the, what was it, the Bruce photo.
Yeah, Ace and Bruce, and I'm still shocked about it, because I don't know why you passed, and then I turn around and say, "Hey Kim, you want to go?" And because I'm like, "You can go, you can do it, or you can come with me." No, I don't want to go. I was flabbergasted first by you, and then Kim said, "No, I'm all set." I'm like, "I guess I'll go." So I'm in my shorts and my 4x8 T-shirt.
Yeah, I didn't skip it for any reason other than just not wanting to be away from the table as much as possible.
You were packed at the time too. That's the table was packed, and people were coming up left and right at the table at that time. And I'm like, okay, I'll go. I sit there, and like I said, I get my shorts on, which I never do for a photo, because you don't know if they're just going to take from your waist up or whatever it is. So usually put the pants on and whatever. But I was like, I go with the 4x8 shirt, and I walk in and go between them, and Bruce said comments on the shirt. He goes, whatever. He goes, "Oh, yeah, they're a bunch of nice guys." And I said, "Just like you guys."
So that was was that Bruce and Ace?
Yeah, Bruce and Ace.
Yeah, again, it was just, it was end of the day for me. I was a bit brain fried at that point.
I don't even think it was the end of the day.
I don't even remember where it was, but, I just was not going to be a good photo for me at the time. And it had nothing to do with Bruce and Ace together, because obviously having 2 KISS guitarists in one photo is a fantastic opportunity. It just was that I did not want to leave the table any more than I absolutely had to during the day. And because I'd been back and forth quite a few times, running the guitar around for signing, that I didn't want to miss people. When I came back to the table, and Kim said, "Oh, we sold 2 records." I'm like, well, damn it. I didn't get to interact with that person myself. And, it was just one of those things, or to see, some more books had gone. To not have handed them over. Again,
well, they could all, like we said too. We told some people when you had to go, wherever you had to go to do some things or whatever. We told them, if you buy a book or something or this or that, just come back. Or if you want to wait until he comes back, so you can have him sign it. That was my plug. Every time you left, someone come up and say, "Oh, I want to get a book." I'm like, "Well, he's not here right now, but if you come back, you buy the book, he'll sign it for you."
Please leave a message, and he'll get back to you as soon as he can. All right, let's bring this one to a close. Even after your points about the ticket, you rated this expo a 9 at the beginning of this episode. So it really, really was a good expo. And again, I didn't take photos. I met so many people, and I just don't have time to take photos, during these events, and I missed that part of it. I think I took 5 photos, and 4 were in the in the concert, one of the concerts, just to, from the way back, just to get the atmosphere, and then I took a picture of Steve being interviewed by the local news. That was all I took. I didn't even take a picture of you guys. I didn't take a picture of Joe or Sonny or any of the podcast cats. Nothing. I mean, I didn't get pictures with so many people that I've known online. Ken and I didn't get a picture together. I mean, that's kind of disgraceful on my part.
Because you don't think about it. You're just doing stuff. You don't think about it.
I didn't get a picture with Corey. I didn't get a picture, with so many people that I've known. I've got hopefully that one picture coming with Mark that Carol took. But, that will be it for me. Come the cruise, I have to do a better job, and hopefully I will see a lot of these same folk again on the cruise, and we can do some photos.
Can I say one more thing, though? I have to give an extra shout-out to the guys in 4x8, basically Todd, Sean, Pat, and Rob Afuso, which is the original drummer for Skid Row. They go into their table, and they didn't charge a penny to sign anything. What class act? You know what I mean? Not 1 cent. They signed everything for free. Think about it. No matter what you slapped on the table in front of them, they signed it. Seriously, you can't get any more awesome than that. And Anton, too. Anton's lines were long, $10. Really. Seriously? You can't go wrong. That's what even more. A lot of people were up and down, really cheering about that too. Class acts, man. They weren't, and most of the people weren't charging a lot of money to have signatures, which was very cool.
No, all around, it was very good value. Again, one thing, I need to go back on KissArmyWarehouse.com and check out. They did have some hats for the 20th anniversary. Did they have T-shirts? Again, I did not look on the day, because that is one thing, and maybe they can do them after the fact, make some available. But I wouldn't mind one. Again, I bought the one bobblehead and. And one,
they had cups like the KISS Cruise, like they had all the different colors. You had to buy them in a set. The blue, the red, green. It was a set like the KISS Cruise, and they were $10 for the set. And they had some picks. They had a pen and the hat. I didn't see any shirts. Okay. And technically, I was good because I was there early with you and stuff. And they there was 70s stuff around 80s, 90s, up to now, whatever. And believe it or not, the only thing I took beside the signatures, the only thing I bought all weekend was the cups. I was really good because I just, I need to be good for a couple months, the cruise and everything else, so all that stuff. But it really, like I said, I rated a 9. I know I had some little bit of beefs. It was hot, Jillian. It was hot. That's another beef. The rooms are just hot.
Oh,
everywhere hot.
Downstairs, there were moments when the 2:00 crowd came into that little area. The air just sucked straight out, and it got brutally hot. I was full aerobic, so I was like a smelly, sweaty pile of crappy Scottish haggis. So I just stank. But other points when it wasn't as crowded, the air did circulate. So it was high 80s in Indy that weekend, which for me, coming from San Francisco, where today it's 61 degrees.
From here, too, from New England, it hasn't been that warm either. So you're going from one extreme to the next. And it was, we admit it was hot in there. It wasn't just us. It was hot. It was muggy.
It was hot, but in the performance room, in the concert room, was nice. It was very pleasant. That was
they actually cooled that room off.
that was just as well when I went up on stage to do my Q&A, that it wasn't all hot because I was sweating anyway with nerves under the.
You did a fantastic job, man. You did an awesome job. Actually, all the speakers did. All the people who did the Q&As. All did an awesome job. That's, what I mean? That's what people complain, oh, you didn't ask the deep enough questions. I mean, those guys are not doing it for hours and hours. You got about what?
You got 30 minutes. You got 30 minutes if you're lucky.
Yeah, whatever. Bang, bang, bang. I mean, how far dig you want deep? When the guy goes to the bathroom or something. Do you follow him around? I mean,
and just I do want to wrap this up, but. How deep do you want to go? Do you want to ask such a deep question that the person on stage with you says, I don't know. Yeah. You do not want to do that to a guest where you may not have had time to sit with them beforehand and kind of winkle out at them where they want to go. Respect your guest, and again, opinions vary. There is no right answer because every guest is different. Every Q&A moderator is different. But I think what you want to do is have a good dialogue happening on stage where your guest is talking the most, rather than my job was just to set up stories. In my mind, was to set up stories for Michael to tell, and that's all I attempted to do. And then to ask a few questions in the audience, and Davey was running around with the remote mic to do all the hard work out there in the audience of choosing who was going to do those questions. So, it all varies. Looking at the style of the ones that I have had a chance, I thought that everyone, the interviewees and the moderators did a great job. I think it was good questions for the most part from the audience. Yeah, you got the Ace one that had a few entertaining ones, but come on, that adds spice to it as well. So, getting back to just the overall event, next year, the KISS Indy Expo turns 21. That means she's fully legal. She can vote, she can drink, she can do everything. So what is Keith and Get a Life and Steve going to do to top this year? Can it be topped? And this is a question for you to think about. I don't want your answer today. I don't want an off-the-cuff answer. This is for everyone who attended, and maybe some who weren't able to. What do you think they could do to top this year? So we got to wrap this up. We're going to leave it there. Again, everyone who I met this weekend, it was an honor to meet you, and I thank you very much for coming by my table. Corey, Andy, Kim, Ken, thank you for hanging out at the table and helping me. Very much appreciated. Great to see all my podcast brothers and sisters. And again, so many people. I look forward to seeing many of you again on the cruise. To Keith and Steve, thank you so much. And of course, to all the talent who attended the Indy Expo, thank you for being there. Thank you for being so gracious and wonderful. And let's do this again, man, because that was frickin' fun. All right. So from Andy and myself, thank you for watching the KissFAQ podcast. We will see you next time.
Whoa!
Bada bang. Thank you for spending time listening to the KissFAQ podcast today. All sales are final. There are no refunds. If you'd like, look us up on Facebook or come over to the KissFAQ message board and discuss the topic we broadcast today. Don't forget to rate us on iTunes, Spreaker, or wherever you've listened to the show. We hope you'll join us again.